Amina stood on the edge of the old playground, her breath forming small clouds in the chilly evening air. She stared at the broken swings and empty slide, places she and Jonah used to explore. Since he moved away 6 months ago, everything felt farther apart. She pressed her hand to her chest, feeling the weight of distance like a heavy stone. Every day after school, she would walk here, hoping to feel closer to her friend. She remembered how Jonah laughed when they raced down the slide, how he always lifted her spirits with a silly joke.
Ow.
Those memories were all she had. Her phone lay heavy in her pocket, silent and unused. She wanted to call him, to send a message. But each time she picked up the phone, her courage melted away. At home, Amina opened her sketchbook. She drew 2 stick figures standing on opposite hills, reaching out but never touching. She added little stars between them, symbols of hope. She wrote beneath the drawing, "Friendship crosses any gap." Then she erased the words. It felt too small, too weak. Her mother knocked on her door. "Amina, dinner's ready." She closed the sketchbook. "Thanks, Mom." She followed the smell of pasta to the kitchen. Her father smiled and set a plate before her. "You've been quiet," he said. "I'm fine," she whispered. Her mother reached across the table. "You miss Jonah, don't you?" Amina looked down. She nodded. "I feel so far from him." Her mother squeezed her hand. "Friends can grow even when they are apart. You two have been through so much." "But I don't know how to start again," Amina said. "He has a new life now." Her father glanced at her mother. "Why don't you write him a letter? Tell him how you feel. It might help." Amina felt a small spark of hope. A letter. "You won't," her mother said. "Just speak from your heart." That night, Amina sat at her desk. She took out paper and pen. She wrote, "Dear Jonah, I miss you every day. I think of our secret forts, our midnight talks, and our big dreams. It hurts that you're so far away. I feel like we stand on opposite ends of a broken playground. But I believe our friendship can build a bridge across any space I want to. Hear about your new home. Tell me what makes you happy. I will tell you my own adventures here. Let's promise to share our hopes, even when the world pulls us apart. Your friend always, Amina." She read it over. Her hands trembled, but she smiled. It sounded like her. Simple. True. The next morning, she walked to the old playground again, letter in hand. The sun was just rising, painting the sky pink and gold. She pressed send on her email draft, attaching a photo of her drawing from last night. A week passed without a reply. Amina worried again. Had she done something wrong? Should she try another way? She considered texting him, but remembered how hard it felt before. Then one afternoon, her phone buzzed. Her heart jumped. It was an email from Jonah. She held her breath and opened it. "Dear Amina, your letter made me smile so big I almost dropped my phone. I miss you too, every single day. Life here is different, but I want to tell you all about it. I'm in a small town by the sea. The sunsets are amazing, and I even started a rock collecting club at school. Your drawing is beautiful. I believe our friendship is stronger than any distance. Let's keep sharing our days and dreams. Maybe one day we can visit each other's worlds. Your friend forever." Jonah. Amina felt tears in her eyes, happy tears. She ran outside and looked at the empty playground, now filled in her mind with new possibilities. She lifted her arms toward the sky and laughed softly. The gap between her and Jonah still existed, but it no longer felt like a wall. It was a challenge they would meet together, with hope and human heart. She whispered to the wind, "We will bridge this distance." And in that moment, the empty swings and silent slide became symbols, not of broken friendship, but of promise. The shattered frontier. In the quiet days after Jonah's reply, Amina felt a new light in her heart. She read his words over and over, each line a small bridge across the miles. Still, the space between them was real. Oceans, time zones, new routines. Wanted more. Than letters, she wanted to feel close again. Each morning, she woke early and logged onto the video chat app. She stared at the blank screen, her finger hovering over call. Doubt crept in. What if her face looked too tired? What if he had nothing new to say? Bye bye ba 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 ba. She closed her eyes and remembered Jonah's smile. She pressed call and held her breath. He was in his bedroom, painted light blue with shells on the windowsill. "Hey," he said, grinning. His voice sounded warm, like sunshine spilling through the glass. "Hi," Amina answered, her voice trembling. "I wanted to see you." "Good," he said. "I've missed you." They talked about small things first: school, chores, even the weather. Amina showed him her latest painting, bright flowers growing through a crack in concrete. Jonah laughed and held up a shell he had found on the beach, smooth and pink inside. He told her its name, rose petal shell. They felt the distance shrink. But after the call ended, Amina still felt a hollow ache. Video was better than letters, but not the same as standing side by side. She missed their old adventures, their shared silence under the stars. She wanted to do something bold, something that spoke her heart. She spent the next day planning. She folded a map of the world, tracing her finger from her town to Jonah's new home by the sea. She counted the miles. Then she opened her notebook and wrote, "Plan, visit Jonah." Beneath it, she listed what she would need: permission from her parents' travel tickets, a safe way to get there, and an idea for a surprise. That night, over pasta again, she asked, "Mom, Dad, can I go visit Jonah next month? I want to surprise him." Her parents exchanged glances. Travel was expensive. Flights were long and tiring for a young girl traveling alone. Her mother frowned. Her father sighed. "It's a big trip," her mother said gently. "Are you?" "Sure, I'm sure," Amina said. She looked them both in the eyes. "Friendship is worth it. I won't let distance win." Her father reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "Right, let's see what we can do." For the next week, they worked together. Her mother found a sponsored student travel program that offered group trips for young people. Father arranged the paperwork and helped Amina practice for the long flight: how to ask for help, how to stay safe in airports, how to read her boarding pass and passport. On the day of departure, Amina stood at the airport gate, her suitcase decorated with stickers of stars and planets. She felt nervous, but also fiercely determined. This was human heart in action, reaching out, taking risks, protecting what mattered. When the plane touched down beside Jonah's small seaside town, Amina's stomach fluttered. She collected her luggage and nervously stepped into the bright morning. She carried in her bag a small box wrapped in blue paper. Inside was the shell he had shown her on video. Beside it, a bracelet she had woven with friendship knots. She found Jonah waiting, nervous himself. His eyes widened when he saw her. "Amina," he whispered. She ran forward, and they hugged. The world seemed to sigh around them. The gulls cried overhead. The waves clapped against the shore, and for a moment, all the empty playgrounds and silent slides felt far away. Here, they were together again. That afternoon, they walked on. The beach. Amina gave him the shell. "Remember this?" she asked. He held it gently. "I do." Then she held out the bracelet. "For you. So you know I'm always here?" Jonah's eyes shone. "I'll never let you go," he said. They spent the week exploring tide pools, building sand forts, and sharing dreams under pink sunsets. Distance still existed, but now it felt like a challenge they had already begun to overcome. Amina saw in Jonah's laughter the same spark she felt in her own heart: hope, courage, and the human will to connect. On the day she returned home, they promised to meet again. This time, they would plan together. Each phone call, each letter, each trip would be a step across the gap. They were bridges in each other's lives. Proof that no frontier, no matter how shattered, could keep two friends apart when they fought for each other. And so, even as she watched the shoreline fade beneath her airplane, Amina whispered, "We will close every gap." The frontier remained, but it was no longer broken. It was only the beginning of their greatest adventure. Months after her visit, Amina sat in her room and stared at Jonah's last video message. He was showing her the new library he helped build by the sea-tall windows, colorful shelves, and students smiling as they read. Amina felt proud of him, but also a dull ache inside. His life had fallen into a smooth rhythm. School, club meetings, beach walks, her own days were full of homework, art projects, and chores. The space between them was not measured in miles alone, but in all the little moments they could not share, Each evening, Amina tried to call Jonah on video. Sometimes the connection failed, freezing his face into a block of pixels. Other times, he was busy with a school play or a family trip. She would send a quick "miss you" text and then wait, watching the scene checkmark glow on her screen. The waiting felt heavy. She remembered how easy it was to laugh together on the beach or in her backyard. Now, her phone felt like a barrier instead of a bridge. One Saturday morning, Amina had an idea. She opened her sketchbook and drew a simple map. There are two towns, the ocean between them, and a dotted line showing a path. Along the path she sketched small icons, books, shells, stars, and paintbrushes, things they both loved. At the bottom she wrote, "Our shared path." She decided to turn the drawing into a digital project so they could add new icons together. Even when apart, she learned a basic web design tool at school. Each day after classes, she logged in and built a simple site. She added the map image and created clickable spots where they could leave messages. One spot was for memories. Amina placed a short video of her riding her bike near the old playground. Another spot was for new discoveries. She uploaded a photo of a bright red flower that grew in her front yard. Then she sent Jonah a link, inviting him to add his own stories. At first, Jonah was quiet. Amina worried the idea was too small or too silly. But one evening a notification popped up. Jonah had added a photo of the sunset over his town, the sky, pink and gold. He left a note, "I see you in every sunrise here." Amina smiled so hard her cheeks hurt. This simple site was their new frontier, a place they could meet even when miles kept them apart. They began to use the site every week. Amina posted a short poem about the moon rising over her home. Jonah added a sketch of the sea crashing on rocks. They left comments and little emoji stars, hearts, smiley faces. Over time, their shared path grew bright with color and sound. It was not the same as sitting side by side, but it was their creation. It was human heart given form by human hands. One rainy Thursday, Amina's power went out. She rushed to finish a new entry before the lights blinked off. She typed, "I miss hearing your laugh." Then the screen went dark. For a moment, she felt panic. But then her phone rang, Jonah's name glowing on the screen. He had called on his mobile, ignoring the blackout. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Power is out," she said. "But I wanted you to know I finished today's entry." "I saw it," he said. "It's beautiful. It feels like you're here with me." His voice sounded close, not through a glitchy line, but warm and steady. They talked for hours, listening to the rain together. When she finally hung up, Amina felt so full of hope she could almost touch the stars. She realized that distance was not only a test of patience, but also a chance for new ideas. They had built their own way to connect, stronger than any single call or visit. That night, Amina added a new icon to the map, two hands reaching across the sea. Beneath it, she wrote, "Together, we close every gap." She looked at the glowing screen and whispered, "We've healed this frontier." The dotted line between her town and Jonah's was no longer broken. It was alive. It was theirs. A few days after the rainstorm, Amina woke with a burst of energy. She had dreamed of a new idea, alive voices across the sea, where she and Jonah could share stories with each other's friends in real time. It would be a challenge time. Zones, technology glitches, nervousness, but she knew that humans could overcome any frontier. She emailed Jonah, "Let's make our voices heard together." He replied almost at once, "I'm in. Tell me more." They agreed on a day and time that fit both schedules, Saturday evening for Amina, Saturday morning for Jonah. Together, they wrote a simple script. Amina would tell a story about her town's sleepy library awakening at dawn, and Jonah would follow with a tale of seagulls dancing on the wind. They added a segment for questions. Friends could type in messages, and they would answer live. On Friday evening, Amina tested her microphone and camera. Her little desk lamp cast a warm glow behind her. She pressed record and spoke into the headset. "Hello from the old playground," she began, smiling. The sound was clear. She grinned. This was going to work. Meanwhile, on his side of the world, Jonah set up a small stage in his bedroom. He draped a blue cloth behind him like the ocean's sky. He practiced greeting his friends. "Hi, everyone. Up by the sea." He laughed when he saw himself on screen and tried again until it felt natural. On Saturday, Mina's heart fluttered as the clock struck 6. She logged into the video platform and saw names appearing in the chat. Classmates, neighbors even, some of her aunt's friends. Her palms felt sweaty, but she remembered how every leap of courage had brought her closer to Jonah. Jonah joined a moment later, his face bright on her screen. "Ready?" he whispered. "Ready?" She took a deep breath. The show began. Mina spoke first, describing the creaking wooden shelves, the smell of old paper, and the way sunlight slid across the reading chairs. She felt Jonah's eyes on her, encouraging her to keep going. When she finished, applause emojis flooded the chat. Then it was Jonah's turn. He described a dawn walk along the shore, the foam of the waves tickling his toes, and a lone shell that glowed like a hidden treasure. Amina watched, captivated. His words painted a world she could almost touch. After the stories, they moved. 2 questions, Amina read aloud. "What made you start this show?" She smiled at Jonah. He answered, "I wanted to feel closer to Amina and meet her world." Then Amina added, "I wanted to share our friendship with others, to show that distance can't break human hearts." Their friends asked about the map site they had built together. Jonah explained how every icon was a memory marker. Amina demonstrated how to click and add a new icon. Soon, new shapes appeared, a small paper airplane for someone's dream of flying, a sunflower for hope, a music note for a shared song. Halfway through, the video froze. Amina's screen went blank for a second, then returned. She heard Jonah say, "Technical hiccup." Both of them laughed. It was not perfect, but it was real. The audience cheered them on, typing, "Stay strong, and we love this." The show ended. They promised to do this every month. Amina felt warmth spread through her chest. She had been worried that no one would care, that the gap would swallow her courage. Instead, they had built a new bridge, one made of voices, stories, and human heart. After the live stream ended, Amina and Jonah stayed online to chat. They talked about the next show, perhaps a cooking segment where she would bake cookies and he would try a new recipe. They sketched out ideas late into the night, scribbling notes and laughing at each other's jokes. When Amina finally closed her laptop, she felt no hollow ache. The frontier between them was alive with movement and sound. Distance was still real, but it had become a canvas for creativity and connection. Every story, every show, every shared laugh was a plank in the bridge they were building. She lay in bed and whispered into the dark, "We will cross every sea." And she believed it, because hope was more powerful than miles, and human hearts would always find a way. The Shattered Frontier. A few weeks after their first Voices Across the Sea show, Mina and Jonah noticed that many of their friends had joined the map site and the live sessions, but something still felt missing. They talked about adding voice and video, but bandwidth and time zones made it hard. Amina sat at her desk, tapping her pen on the notebook where she kept their plans. She wanted a new idea, one that could bring their worlds even closer. That afternoon at school, Mina watched a group of students filling postcards with drawings and thank you notes for a community art project. She saw how excited they were to send their work out into the world. A light went on in her mind. What if she and Jonah asked friends and family to draw postcards, small pieces of themselves, and exchange them across the sea? She emailed Jonah right away. "Let's start a postcard bridge," she wrote. "Each week we'll pick a theme: flowers, sunsets, favorite foods, and ask people here and there to draw or write on a postcard. Then we mail them across the world. We can share photos on our map site and show them on our next live show. This way we all connect, one card at a time." Aunt Jonah replied within minutes, "I love it. This will be so human. Everyone's hand, everyone's story. Let's do it." That evening, Amina designed a simple postcard template on her laptop. It had a small map on one side, a space for a drawing or a short note on the other, and clear instructions in simple English: draw, write, and mail to our friends across the sea. Then take a photo of your card and upload to our site. She printed 10 copies for her family and neighbors. The next morning, Amina set up a small table in her front yard. She laid out blank postcards, colored pencils, and a sign that read, "Build our postcard bridge." Passersby smiled and stopped. Her little sister Maya drew a bright sun on hers and wrote, "May you always find light." Her neighbor, Mr. Khalid, sketched jasmine flowers and wrote in neat handwriting, "Home is in the heart." At school, Amina's art teacher heard about the project and asked her to bring supplies for the art club. Soon, dozens of students filled. Cards, some simple, some elaborate, but each one full of hope. Amina carefully collected them in envelopes addressed to friends in Jonah's town by the sea. On the other side of the world, Jonah did the same, placed a box of postcards. On a table in his library, where he had helped build those tall windows and invited classmates and neighbors to write and draw, his mom baked cookies for the group, and they chatted as they worked. Jonah watched their faces light up as they thought of the distant friends who would receive these small gifts. Each week, Amina and Jonah collected the mailed cards and uploaded photos of them to their map site. They created a new section, Postcard Bridge. Every card had a little dot on the map, showing where it was made and where it was sent. Soon, the bridge was alive with color. During their next live show, Amina held up a card covered in tiny blue stars. "This one came from my aunt in the city," she said. Jonah displayed a card painted with rolling green hills. "And this from my best friend in school." They read messages aloud. "Hope grows like wildflowers. Distance cannot stop. Dreams, I see you in every card." Their audience cheered in the chat. Some people even wrote that they felt less lonely that day. Amina felt warmth in her chest. The simple act, drawing, writing, sending, had drawn them closer. She realized that human hearts, when given a chance, would always reach out. One evening, Amina found a special postcard waiting for her at home. It was heart-shaped, painted with both the sun and the sea. Written across it were Jonah's own words, "Together we build bridges stronger than oceans." She held the card carefully, as if it were made of fragile glass. She replied the next day, drawing 2 hands reaching toward each other across waves and writing, "Every card is a promise." When Jonah received it, he filmed himself smiling and placed the card beside his shell collection. He sent her the video, and she watched it on repeat, her own smile echoing his. Months passed, and the postcard bridge grew longer and brighter. Even when Amina felt the ache of missing Jonah, she could scroll through their site and see hundreds of cards, proof that distance was only numbers on a map. Each card was a story, a hope, a human heart beating strong. When she and Jonah planned their 5th live show, they invited some of their younger helpers to share their postcards on camera. The children waved their cards at the screen, and Amina and Jonah beamed with pride. They knew that this project was more than art or messages. It was a living bond, built by human hands and human hope. As Amina closed her sketchbook that night, she whispered to herself, "This is our victory, one postcard at a time." And she believed it because she had seen how far a simple drawing could travel, and how deeply it could connect to worlds. The shattered frontier. A few months after the postcard bridge began, Amina woke one morning with a new idea. She remembered how seeds could travel far on wind and water, and how people could send seeds in the mail. What if she and Jonah asked friends to send seeds across the sea, planting a shared garden in both towns? She emailed Jonah at once. "Let's start a seed exchange. We ask people to pack a few flower, herb, or vegetable seeds in small envelopes. Mail them to our friends, plant them, and share photos on our map site." Jonah replied quickly, "Yes. This will help us grow hope together." That weekend, Amina printed a seed exchange flyer. It had simple instructions and a list of safe seeds: marigolds, basil, sunflowers, lettuce. She taped the flyers to lamp posts and school bulletin boards. She set up a table in her front yard again, this time with small envelopes, seed packets, and blank labels. Neighbors stopped by and smiled as they chose seeds and wrote their names on the envelopes. At school, her science teacher heard about the project and let the class use the greenhouse. Amina and her classmates filled dozens of seed kits, each labeled with the sender's name and a note of encouragement. Grow with care, one read. May these petals remind you of home, wrote another. Amina collected the kits in a small box and mailed them, addressed to friends by the sea. In Jonah's town, he placed a similar box in the library he helped build. He invited his friends and family to take seed kits, plant them, and share their progress. Mothers showed children how to press seeds gently into soil trays. Little brother drew a sign, "Plant hope here." Each planted seed became a promise that they would grow together, back home. Amina's first basil seed sprouted in tiny green shoots after a week. She took photos and uploaded them to their map site under a new seed exchange section. Each sprout got its own dot on the map. On the other side of the screen, she saw Jonah's first marigold shoot breaking through the soil. He left a note. It feels like magic. Over days and weeks, the shared garden grew. Amina's sunflowers reached for the sun. Jonah's lettuce heads spread green leaves. On the map site, visitors could click each dot to read a story. This basil came from my grandmother's kitchen. I planted these seeds on my front porch. Our school garden club tended these sprouts. People began to comment and cheer each other on. One afternoon, Mina received a video message from Jonah. He stood in front of a row of pots, each labeled with names from both towns. "Hey, look how tall they are," he said, holding up a sunflower. Head heavy with buds. Amina's face lit up on her screen. "Yours are beautiful. Mine are ready for pesto." They decided to celebrate the shared garden with a special live show. Amina set up her camera among her sunflowers. Jonah arranged his pots on a table beside his marigolds. They invited their friends, families, and classmates to join online. First, each of them walked through their gardens, describing the colors, the scents, and the tiny bees that visited the flowers. Then they held a mini cook-along. Amina demonstrated how to pick basil leaves and drizzle olive oil for a simple pesto. Jonah followed with a recipe for marigold petal salad. Their audiences cooked along in kitchens around the world, chat messages filled with photos of dishes, and mugs of tea, all decorated with green leaves and bright petals. As the show ended, Jonah picked a single marigold and held it out to the camera. "From my garden to yours," he said. Amina smiled and plucked a basil leaf. "From my heart to yours." Their shared laughter echoed through the speakers. After the live stream, Amina and Jonah tallied their favorite moments. They saw that people felt less alone, that distance could be a source of creativity, not only of longing. They had built a bridge of seeds and stories, plants and recipes, a living link that grew stronger every day. That night, Amina stepped into her garden. Fireflies danced above her sunflowers. She gently touched a leaf and whispered, "We will keep growing together." Even though oceans lay between her and Jonah, their shared garden proved that human hearts could cross any distance and bloom with hope. Months after the shared garden began to bloom, Amina sat at her desk watching a time-lapse video Jonah sent. Marigolds had opened bright and gold, while her sunflowers towered tall enough to shade her small greenhouse. She felt warmth in her chest, but also a new longing. She wanted to share this moment face to face. Letters, maps, shows, postcards, and seeds had built bridges between them. But she dreamed of something deeper, a shared memory they could both touch. One afternoon, Amina had an idea. Opened her sketchbook and drew a simple vault, a wooden box half buried under two trees, one small sunflower tree, and one small marigold bush. Above it, she wrote, "Our time capsule." She planned to collect small object tokens of their friendship from both towns, seal them in that box, and open it together one day. It would be a promise of tomorrow, a symbol of hope that distance could never break. She emailed Jonah right away. "Let's make a time capsule. We gather items here and there, then meet somewhere to bury and open it together. We'll choose our special place someday. What do you think?" Jonah's reply came quickly. "I love that. Let's do it." That weekend, Amina made a list of items to include: a small packet of sunflower seeds from her garden, a tiny painted shell from Jonah's shore, a handwritten note, a photograph of them laughing on video, a pressed marigold petal. She asked her family and friends to contribute too. Maya slipped in a friendship bracelet. Her neighbor, Mr. Khalid, added a poem about home. and her school art club included a folded paper crane for peace. Across the sea, Jonah did the same. Collected his marigold seed packets, a small vial of seawater, a sketch of Amina's map site, and postcards from the postcard bridge. His classmates added a small keychain, a poem about sun and sea, and a paper boat they folded for good luck. Each item carried a wish. May our friendship last, grow strong like these flowers, find me in every wave. Once they gathered everything, Amina sealed her items in a small wooden box she had varnished. She wrote our time capsule on top in gold letters. Jonah did the same with his matching box. Then they arranged for the boxes to cross the ocean. By mail, addressed to each other. Amina sent hers on a Monday, and by Friday Jonah's arrived. They exchanged unboxing videos, each watching the other open the lid and reveal the tokens inside. They laughed and cried at the small treasures they had shared. Now came the final step, finding their special place. They agreed on a quiet forest, glade halfway between their Townsend Island park that had both trees and a small stream. It was a perfect spot, quiet enough to dig and talk and bury their capsule together. They planned for summer break, when school was out for both of them. On the day of the meeting, Amina's flight landed just as the sun climbed above the treetops. She carried the sealed box in her backpack along with a small trowel. At the same time, Jonah arrived by train, box in hand, his heart pounding with excitement. Neither had told their families, wanting this to be a surprise. But both had permission and careful plans for safe travel. They found each other at the forest edge, each recognizing the other instantly. Amina ran forward, and Jonah met her halfway. They hugged for a long moment, feeling the reality of each other's warmth and weight. It was the first time in months they stood side by side. All the bridges they had built until now felt like steps. Leading to this moment, they walked together to the clearing beside the stream, where the soft grass made a perfect spot. They knelt and used the trowel to dig a shallow hole. Mina placed her box inside. Jonah followed with his, fitting it neatly beside hers. They covered the boxes with soil and pressed the ground flat. Then they placed Amina's sunflower seed packet on top, and Jonah's marigold seed packet beside it. Amina put her hand on Jonah's shoulder. "When we open it," she said, "we'll have so many new memories." Jonah smiled and squeezed her hand. And more tokens to add. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small Kia key to the treehouse they built together years ago. "Let's add this next time." They stood and brushed the dirt from their knees. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting dancing shadows. A gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers and earth. Amina felt tears in her eyes, not of sadness, but of joy and hope, as they walked back along the path. They talked about all they had done, the map site, the live shows, the postcard bridge, the shared garden, and now the time capsule. Each project had been an act of faith, a reminder that human hearts could reach across any gap. Now standing together in this glade, they knew that no frontier, no matter how shattered, could keep true friends apart. They paused at the forest edge. Amina turned and looked at Jonah. "We did it," she said softly.